Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 SUVs no one wants. Number 12, Subaru Solterra. The Subaru Solterra is the kind of SUV that dealers can't seem to move, no matter how many discounts they attach to it. Priced around $45,000 for the base trim in 2025, it sits in a range where expectations are high. Yet its reputation for being underwhelming has left it collecting dust on dealership lots. The range sits at about 228 miles per charge, which is significantly lower than most rivals in the same price bracket. The depreciation numbers also tell the story clearly. Analysts estimate the Solterra will lose nearly half of its value in just 5 years, which means that if you pay $45,000 today, you could be staring at a resale worth barely $23,000 by the end of the decade. Compared to competitors that hold stronger value, this is a hit most buyers don't want to take. Dealers are so eager to offload these SUVs that incentives of up to $7,000 have been reported in some areas. Even with those markdowns, the question of longevity lingers. Subaru's gasoline models have a reputation for crossing 200,000 miles with proper care, but the Solterra's early reliability reports suggest a mixed picture. For many shoppers, that combination of high upfront cost, questionable long-term endurance, and heavy depreciation makes the Solterra an SUV that no one is eager to own. Number 11, Genesis GV70. The Genesis GV70 entered the market with the promise of being a luxury SUV that could challenge German rivals. But by 2025, it has turned into a model dealers are practically begging shoppers to consider. With a starting price of around $55,000 and fully loaded trims climbing past $65,000, buyers are not convinced they're getting long-term value for money. While Genesis initially impressed with design and warranty coverage, industry reports suggest the GV70 struggles with maintaining solid resale numbers. After 5 years, depreciation can wipe away nearly 60% of its original value, meaning a $60,000 SUV can be worth just about $24,000 when you try to sell it. The question of how long it lasts also plays into buyer hesitation. Owners report concerns about costly repairs as the vehicle ages beyond its warranty coverage. Luxury components, advanced electronics, and premium finishes drive repair bills up quickly, and once the odometer crosses the 100,000-mile mark, maintenance expenses begin climbing into the thousands annually. Dealers, aware of the lack of interest, have been pushing incentives worth several $1,000s just to move inventory. For shoppers doing the math, the GV70 becomes a luxury SUV that looks good in the showroom, but proves difficult to keep on the road without burning through cash. Number 10, Chevrolet Equinox. The Chevrolet Equinox has been a familiar nameplate for years, but in 2025, dealers are finding it harder than ever to convince buyers to take one home. With a starting price of around $29,000 and higher trims pushing $38,000, it sits in a crowded segment where value matters most. Unfortunately, the Equinox doesn't offer enough longevity to keep up with the competition. On paper, this SUV should have staying power, but the numbers tell a different story. Industry data shows the Equinox losing close to 55% of its value after just 5 years. That means a $35,000 purchase today could be worth less than $16,000 when it comes time to trade in. Durability also raises questions. While some models do make it past the 150,000-mile mark, maintenance costs begin to climb steeply as the miles pile on. Owners past the 100,000-mile point often see annual repair costs exceeding $1,200, eating into whatever savings the SUV promised up front. Because of this, dealers are resorting to heavy incentives just to move Equinox inventory. Discounts of up to $4,000 and 0% financing offers have become increasingly common, signaling that demand simply isn't there. The Equinox may have once been a dependable middle ground choice, but in today's market the math doesn't add up. Number 9, Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer was launched as a full-size luxury SUV with a bold price tag, but in 2025 it has become a model dealers can't move fast enough. Starting around $91,000 and pushing past $110,000 when fully loaded, the numbers are intimidating before you even consider long-term ownership. Depreciation hits this SUV harder than most of its rivals. Within just 5 years, values are projected to drop by nearly 60%. That means someone spending $100,000 today could be staring at a resale figure of around $40,000 by the decade's end. Mileage longevity doesn't reassure buyers either. While Jeep promotes its rugged heritage, the Grand Wagoneer's complex electronics and premium systems bring heavy repair costs once the vehicle crosses the 100,000-mile mark. Longevity expectations for a six-figure SUV are high, yet the Grand Wagoneer often fails to deliver beyond a decade of use without draining the wallet. Dealers know this reality, which is why massive incentives have become routine. Reports show discounts nearing $10,000 or more in certain regions, yet even those markdowns aren't convincing shoppers in significant numbers. The Grand Wagoneer was designed to make a statement, but when the long-term numbers are factored in, it turns into a purchase most buyers would rather avoid. Number 8. Lincoln Corsair. The Lincoln Corsair entered the compact luxury SUV market aiming to bring style and comfort, but by 2025 it has become a model dealers struggle to sell. Starting around $42,000 and climbing past $52,000 with options, the Corsair sits in a competitive space where buyers expect their money to go further. Unfortunately, the numbers show that this SUV doesn't last as long as rivals, and that has turned away a lot of interest. Depreciation is one of its biggest weaknesses. Data shows the Corsair losing nearly 60% of its value in just 5 years. A $50,000 example purchased today could be worth barely $20,000 when you try to resell it. That sharp decline makes it a hard pill to swallow for shoppers who want their investment to stretch. Longevity also brings concerns. While Lincoln covers early ownership with warranty protection, once the vehicle crosses 100,000 miles, the repair costs become a burden. Owners have reported expensive fixes for the transmission and electrical systems, with some repairs costing upwards of $3,000. By the time the SUV hits 150,000 miles, annual maintenance bills can climb well past $1,500. Dealers are fully aware of the hesitation, which is why heavy incentives are now the norm. Discounts of $4,000 to $6,000 are common, along with promotional financing offers, yet the Corsair continues to sit on lots. Buyers look at the numbers, weigh the risks, and often walk away. Number 7. Buick Envision. The Buick Envision was designed to be a comfortable midsize SUV with a touch of premium feel, but in 2025 it's a vehicle dealers can't convince buyers to take, even with aggressive deals. Priced from around $36,000 to well over $46,000 depending on trim, it faces stiff competition and its numbers don't work in its favor. Depreciation is steep. Industry reports show the Envision losing close to 58% of its value in the first 5 years. That means a $45,000 purchase today could be worth less than $19,000 when it comes time to sell. The question of how long it lasts also hurts its reputation. While some examples reach 150,000 miles, maintenance costs climb sharply as it approaches higher mileage. Repairs to electronics, turbocharged engines, and transmission systems can run into the thousands. By the time the odometer crosses 100,000 miles, owners often report yearly maintenance expenses of $1,200 to $1,500. Dealers have responded with heavy incentives, including discounts of $5,000 or more, but even that hasn't made it a strong seller. The hesitation is clear. Buyers don't want to invest tens of thousands into a vehicle that depreciates rapidly and doesn't promise longevity. The Envision may offer a smooth ride and a recognizable badge, but the numbers show why it's stuck on lots and why so few want to sign the papers. Number 6. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross was intended to give buyers an affordable compact SUV option, but in 2025 it has become one of the hardest vehicles for dealers to unload. With a starting price near $28,000 and higher trims climbing toward $35,000, it positions itself in a very crowded market where longevity matters. Sadly, this SUV doesn't stack up when the numbers are put under the microscope. Depreciation is a major weakness. Data shows the Eclipse Cross losing about 57% of its value in the first 5 years. That means a $32,000 purchase could be worth barely $14,000 when it comes time to resell. Durability also draws criticism. While Mitsubishi advertises dependability, real-world ownership tells a different story. Reports suggest that by the 100,000-mile mark, maintenance costs begin to rise sharply, averaging more than $1,200 per year. Transmission-related problems and electronic glitches have been among the common issues, and those repairs can cost several $1,000s. Dealers are so aware of this reputation that incentives worth $4,000 to $5,000 are regularly attached to unsold inventory. Even with those markdowns, buyers hesitate, knowing that long-term ownership may be more expensive than the SUV's upfront sticker price suggests. The Eclipse Cross may carry a sporty name, but when the numbers don't add up, it's no surprise that it has become one of those vehicles sitting unwanted on lots. Number 5. Infiniti QX50. The Infiniti QX50 was supposed to be the brand's answer to the competitive luxury crossover market, but by 2025 it has turned into an SUV that dealers can't convince people to buy. With a starting price around $43,000 and top trims reaching well above $55,000, it looks appealing on the surface. However, when buyers dig into the numbers, the shine quickly fades. Depreciation is the biggest hurdle. In just 5 years, the QX50 can lose nearly 60% of its value. That means someone paying $50,000 today could be left with a resale figure of barely $20,000 in the early 2030s. Longevity is another problem. While some units can last past 150,000 miles, ownership costs rise sharply as the odometer climbs. The variable compression turbo engine, a key selling point for Infiniti, has proven expensive to maintain, with repairs often running into several $1,000s once the vehicle passes 100,000 miles. Annual maintenance costs after that point often exceed $1,500, which drains the appeal of long-term ownership. Dealers have been forced to apply heavy discounts to try and move stock, but shoppers remain hesitant. The QX50 may deliver a stylish exterior and plush comfort, but the reality is that it doesn't last long enough or hold value well enough to justify its price tag. Number 4. Volkswagen Taos. The Volkswagen Taos was launched as a smaller, more affordable SUV option, but by 2025 it has quickly become one of the least desirable vehicles on dealer lots. With a starting price around $24,000 and higher trims creeping past $32,000, the Taos initially looks like a budget-friendly option. However, the numbers tell a story that keeps buyers away. Depreciation is one of its biggest weaknesses. Within the first 5 years, the Taos loses nearly 55% of its value. That means a $30,000 Taos bought today could be worth less than $14,000 when resold. For shoppers trying to stretch every dollar, this drop makes the SUV an unattractive investment. Longevity is another issue dragging it down. While some owners report pushing the Taos toward 120,000 miles, reliability concerns pile up well before then. Transmission issues and electronic glitches are among the most reported problems, with major repairs often costing over $2,000. After the 100,000-mile mark, average yearly maintenance can rise to $1,200 or more, undermining the idea of affordable ownership. Dealers are desperate to move these vehicles, offering incentives of up to $4,000 in some regions, yet even with markdowns, buyers hesitate. The Taos was meant to draw buyers into the Volkswagen brand with affordability, but in reality, it has become an SUV that sits waiting on lots, with dealers practically begging people to take them. Number 3. Nissan Murano. The Nissan Murano has been around for years as a midsize SUV with a sleek design, but by 2025 it's one of those vehicles dealers can't seem to get off their lots. With a starting price near $36,000 and higher trims passing $45,000, the Murano doesn't deliver enough staying power to justify the cost. Depreciation is brutal. Within 5 years, the Murano loses nearly 60% of its value. A $42,000 example purchased today could be worth less than $18,000 by the early 2030s. Buyers who run the math quickly realize the financial hit, especially when competitors hold their value much better over the same period. Longevity also raises red flags. While some Muranos do reach 150,000 miles, repair costs mount quickly as the vehicle ages. The continuously variable transmission is notorious for issues, and replacements often cost between $4,000 and $6,000. After the 100,000-mile mark, annual maintenance expenses typically climb to around $1,500, making ownership much more expensive than buyers expect from a mainstream SUV. Dealers are aware of the hesitation, which is why heavy incentives are now routine. Discounts of $4,000 to $5,000 are common, along with extended financing offers, yet even those deals fail to spark real demand. The Murano's design may still look sharp on the outside, but the numbers show why so many buyers walk away. Number 2, Chevrolet Blazer. The Chevrolet Blazer returned to the lineup with bold styling and plenty of marketing push, but in 2025 it has turned into an SUV that shoppers avoid and dealers struggle to sell. Starting around $35,000 and stretching past $51,000 for higher trims, it positions itself as a stylish midsize choice. The problem is that the numbers don't support long-term value. Depreciation is steep and unforgiving. Within 5 years, the Blazer sheds nearly 58% of its original price. A $45,000 model bought today could be worth less than $19,000 on resale. That kind of drop makes it a tough sell when alternatives in the same price bracket hold their value better. Longevity is another weak spot. Owners report issues with the transmission, electrical systems, and engine reliability as mileage piles up. Once the odometer passes 100,000 miles, annual repair costs frequently jump over $1,300. Major fixes can run into several thousand, and by 150,000 miles, many Blazers are facing expenses that make keeping them on the road questionable. Dealers are fully aware of this hesitation, which is why they've turned to big incentives. Discounts of $4,000 to $6,000 and special financing terms are common, but the demand remains weak. Despite the styling, the Blazer has become more of a showroom decoration than a driveway choice, leaving dealers practically begging people to take them. Number 1, Jeep Compass. The Jeep Compass has long tried to carve a place in the compact SUV segment, but by 2025 it has become the definition of a model dealers can't give away. With a starting price around $29,000 and top trims nudging $37,000, it looks competitive at first glance. Yet once buyers examine the numbers, the Compass quickly loses its appeal. Depreciation is crushing. Within 5 years, the Compass loses close to 60% of its value. That means a $35,000 Compass purchase today could drop to barely $14,000 on resale. In a market where buyers expect compact SUVs to hold their value better, this steep decline makes it one of the weakest investments in its class. Longevity doesn't help its case either. While some examples make it to 150,000 miles, many owners report expensive issues well before then. Transmission problems and electronic failures are common, with major repairs often costing between $2,000 and $4,000. Once the SUV crosses the 100,000-mile mark, yearly maintenance averages around $1,400, and pushing it past 200,000 miles without draining the wallet is rare. Dealers, fully aware of its reputation, have been offering aggressive discounts of $4,000 to $5,000 to move inventory, yet the Compass continues to sit. The Compass may wear the Jeep badge, but the numbers prove why it has become one of the least wanted SUVs, leaving dealers practically pleading with shoppers to take them home. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.